Have the New York Giants changed their culture? Let's get into what they did in the offseason and much more into this episode right now. Welcome everybody to Top Dog Coverage. It's your boy Dirty with your boy C Dub, and today we are getting into the 2026 New York Giants, New York Football Giants, as some would say, and what they have done on the off season. And look, some people are for what they did in the draft. Some people are against what they did in the draft. Some people are for what they did with the coaching, and vice versa. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see the different sides, what C-Dub thinks, what I think. And we're going to jump into all of that and more. But if you have not, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, comment below, hit the like button, smash the subscribe button, and follow us at Top Dog Coverage on YouTube, X, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, Apple, Spotify. Swipe up on those, hit the 5 stars, leave the comment, and go to topdogcoverage.com and vote for your favorite team. Email us at topdogcoverage@gmail.com and let us know what you guys want to talk about. Maybe some rivalries, maybe some people that you just don't really like, and you're like, you know what, I want to throw some shade at them. Let us know. We like throwing shade, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go. So C-Dub, how you been? I'm rejuvenated. Many people don't know, but we took a scouting class as we do every year. The past 4 days, I'm rejuvenated after that, man. So much knowledge, so much wisdom.
Yeah, no, it's always great. Shout out to Phil Savage, one of the best teachers within the profession of scouting.
Mhm.
And it's just a great human being, just a great person, and always drops tremendous amount of nuggets for us. So very, very highly recommended if anybody wants to get into the profession of taking his course, because it's phenomenal. And we learn something new every single year.
We really do. And shout outs to the guest speakers, Les Need, and shout outs to Mel Kiper Jr. That guy is ball of energy. And it's not just on the camera, it's off the camera too. He is the same. So
yeah, and also Lee Minifree
Yeah.
with Western Michigan, and Sean Kinney over at Texas Tech.
yeah.
Shout out those guys as well.
Yeah, those are going to help us. These connections are definitely going to help us understand a lot more about football, and we can relate all of that to you guys, and trickle down effect, if you will, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So what do you say we get into some football news before we dive into our main theme of the night? And let's see how that is rocking and rolling. All right, let me.
News.
Time for the news, baby. The news is brought to you by Norse-Hall.com. If you guys have not yet, go to Norse-Hall.com to get some hot sauce or some mead. So what is mead? Capital MEAD, some honey wine based out of West Virginia. And if you guys have not yet, please subscribe down below. If you guys have tried their hot sauce before, I have. It is phenomenal. And make sure you subscribe to the channel. So Norse-Hall.com. Go get yours today. All right. I'm going to start us off with a little bit of news time from our boy Michael Rizzo at Michael Rizzo Blogs. If you guys have not followed him, this is our editor. He makes everything look fine and dandy, goes everything with a fine-tooth comb. He is the man on many, many levels. Godly Riz, if one would say. So shout outs to
Elite.
Michael Rizzo. Elite.
You want to talk about blue chip prospect, blue chip human being? That's Rizzo.
Yeah. You want your YouTubes to go to another level? At Michael Rizzo Vlogs. That's where you go. Okay. So shout outs to Michael Rizzo at Michael Rizzo Vlogs on YouTube. Love you, brother. All right, let's go to. I'm gonna head us right over to what is it? What did you have me doing?
I believe Philadelphia.
That's right. The Eagles, Nolan Smith arrested for speeding and reckless driving. Wah, wah. Eagles
Another
outside
Georgia
linebacker.
player.
Yeah, there you go. Another Georgia player. Eagles outside linebacker Nolan Smith was arrested this past Friday for speeding and reckless driving, according to Tim McManus. Notes from the Twiggs County Sheriff's Office indicate Smith was traveling 135 miles an hour in a 70-mile-an-hour zone on the interstate prior to being stopped at 10:41 p.m. Smith posted bond shortly after being booked, per the sheriff's office. A future court date has been set. Smith entered the league in 2023 as an Eagles first rounder. He represents one of several former Georgia defenders selected by Philadelphia in recent years. The Bulldogs have developed a reputation for off-field incidents, given the number of driving charges in particular, which have emerged over the years, although this is the first arrest in Smith's case. So come on, Nolan. Get your stuff together.
We need a major safety driving course for all Georgia Bulldogs. And it's not safe to drive in Athens.
Maybe they're so used to on just using all their paws. You know what I mean? So they're not used to the steering wheel. I don't know.
It's something, but I mean, there's some serious issues. I have no idea why no Georgia player can follow any regular driving laws. It's baffling. But speaking of some traffic violations, we have a whole saga going on with Rashee Rice here.
Here we go.
Rashee Rice saga has taken yet another turn, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter. The Chiefs wide receiver recently underwent a cleanup surgery on his right knee, which will sideline Rice for 2 months. So the operation was intended to remove the loose debris that was causing inflammation in the wideout's knee. There is no structural damage, and the debridement was solely required to relieve the discomfort. The pain stems from Rice's knee injury from 2024 when he suffered a torn LCL, a damaged hamstring tendon, and a damaged PCL after being trucked by Patrick Mahomes. The surgery took place last week in Dallas. Schefter notes that Rice went under the knife without the knowledge that he'd soon be sentenced to 30 days in jail for violating the terms of his probation. Yes, he violated his terms. So now he's set to be released from jail on June 16th. This means he'll miss some critical time that could have been spent rehabbing with the Chiefs medical staff. Schefter notes that Rice is still expected to be ready to go for training camp, but Rice is on probation for 5 years as a result of a 2024 hit-and-run crash that resulted in 8 felony charges. So his current jail sentence stems from a positive THC test. Rice was previously ordered to serve a 30-day sentence, but was granted the ability to choose when he'd spend his time in jail. By violating the terms of his probation, he is now being forced to serve the sentence immediately.
Shocker. What an idiot. I'm sorry. I'm really done with the kids off field, okay? Phenomenal player, but I'm done with it. When does this stuff end? When do people stop? Yeah, when do they stop being so entitled at this point, But this is what money does, all right? Money and fame is what it does. All right, I'm going to take you to an additional area of the field here. I am actually going to go to Detroit, where the Lions extend linebacker Jack Campbell. So Jack Campbell and the Lions agreed to a 4-year deal with $81 million, according to Ian Rappaport, and this includes $51.5 million in guaranteed money, with the deal coming in at $20.25 million average annual value. Campbell will slide right behind Warner, $21 million, and right ahead of Smith, $20 million on the list of the highest AAVs among linebackers. So extension talks between the Lions and Jack Campbell have come to a conclusion, and the all-pro linebacker announced that he has signed a new deal. So he will be gladly accepting this, and the Lions recently declined his 5th-year option in order to get this contract done. So Jack Campbell, well-deserved. I thought he was a great prospect when he was coming out. I actually I was hoping that the Jets could get him in that linebacker position, but I thought the Lions did a really, really good job at snagging him. I thought he just had excellent talent coming into the draft.
Yeah, that was a really great draft class for them, and it's well deserved. I think he's a very much ascending linebacker, one of the top ones in the league, and well deserved. So speaking of the Lions, I'm going to go to a former Lion where the Rams and Matthew Stafford have agreed to an extension. So the Rams have officially committed to Matthew Stafford through at least the 2027 campaign. According to NFL Network's Adam Schefter, the two sides have agreed to a 1-year, $55 million extension. The deal could reach $60 million with incentives. The Rams have officially announced the deal. So after reworking the quarterback's contract in both 2024 and 2025, there is 1 year remaining on the reigning MVP's pact. With today's extension, Stafford will now be attached to a 2-year deal worth up to $105 million. The true $50 million average annual value would only rank 11th at his position, but a $55 million AAV would be tied for second behind Dak Prescott's record-breaking $60 million in annual earnings. So we heard last month that the Rams were progressing on a deal with Stafford. However, the team later stunned the NFL world when they used their 13th overall selection in the draft on quarterback Ty Simpson. While the team is counting on the Alabama star to eventually guide their offense, Rams leadership has also made it clear that the selection wasn't an indictment on Stafford nor his standing on the team. Today's agreement all but assures that Simpson will now warm the bench for at least his first 2 professional seasons.
Not bad. Look, I think this is actually a very, very smart way to do things. Even if you wanted to pick a QB next year, that kind of falls through. There's going to be a lot of options at QB, and maybe you just don't see that Ty has it within the realms of not playing but practicing every single day. This is a possibility, okay? I think the Rams are trying to plan for the future, and I think this is a great, great move. Matthew Stafford has showed that he could still be a baller. What, 46 touchdowns last year? Absolutely ridiculous.
46, and he's age 37. And a cool little tidbit from joining McVay, since he's been in LA for the last 5 years, he has a 46-28 record.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah, his Lions record in the 12 seasons he's with Detroit was 74, 90, and 1.
Okay. Make sure you guys comment below, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, Michael Rizzo vlogs. They're going to Jordan Love, quote unquote, Ty Simpson. This is a possibility. You know, Jordan Love stayed behind Aaron Rodgers for how long? 4 years?
They had to extend him after his first season starting.
Yeah.
I
mean, absolutely. You know, I mean, and if that's what they're going to do, you know, they can do it. You know, you're looking for the best option to have the best guy on the field. That's what we're looking for. That's what teams are trying to go for. They have the best option. And if you start to rush these people in there, it doesn't matter how it's going to, you know, some people are just worried how it's going to look. Well, we spent first round talent. We got this guy in the first. We have to play him. Well, that's where some of these things go south, when you start to put people in positions that they're not ready for. Not saying that Jordan Love wasn't ready, and I'm not saying that Ty Simpson may or may not be ready. All I'm saying, though, is that they should do it their way. They have been doing things their way, and so far it's been working out. So I'm excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, I would also look at it like, look at the situations these teams are in, right? Green Bay has their tradition. They've done that multiple times, taking quarterback, having them sit and doing that. And there's a lot of stability within these organizations. And now with the Rams too, you've had the same GM and same head coach for a really long time that know and are constantly trying to evolve and, you know, be ahead of the game, right? But there's an infrastructure, there's a form of like, not longevity, but they're all together and they have the time and the patience from the ownership group to make these type of moves to pay off long term.
Absolutely. They have done things their way. And I am actually quite impressed on how they did it. And you and I got a little insight on how they kind of did that with the decisions made all the way up front the past 4 days. So I think this is a good move, just moving on. So yeah, absolutely. And we'll go to one last piece of news, which we could use as a segue. But the Giants general manager Joe Schoen agreed to a multi-year extension. Once believed to be on the hot seat, Joe is now sticking in New York for the foreseeable future. The Giants have agreed to a multi-year extension with the general manager, according to Paul Schwartz of the New York Post. The team has since announced the move following last season's ouster of Brian Daboll. It became apparent that Schoen had relatively short leash in his role. The organization's offseason additions only seemed to reinforce that notion. First, the team landed John Harbaugh to be their next head coach, while Schoen was notably involved in that search, the new head coach insisted on reporting to ownership instead of the GM. Before the higher ups ultimately greenlit that arrangement, it was rumored that Schoen represented an impediment to that potential change. So later in the offseason, we heard that the Giants' Don Aponte hire as senior VP of football operations strategy stripped powers of him. That report hinted that Schoen had essentially been relegated to handling scouting, while the rest of the building reports to Don. Since franchises tend to prefer some continuity before the draft, there were even whispers that Schoen could be a post-draft casualty. So they are agreeing to a multi-year extension, and he is staying in New York.
Yeah, it's interesting, right?
It
And
sure
I believe it's
is.
I think his name's pronounced Shane. I think it's Joe Shane.
Joe
Is,
Shane.
yeah, I think it's how these weird spellings, like Shuck is spelled weird too, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of like felt like it was a lame duck situation, and then especially after the whole Hard Knocks thing with the Saquon Barkley fumbling thing, where it made the owner kind of look a little silly, and that was just a really we'll call it interesting situation with that. So interesting move, but we also just saw Buffalo get rid of their head coach and promote and extend their GM. That's had some interesting picks for Buffalo as well. So maybe it's just a thing. Maybe it's just the cool thing to do right now.
Maybe. Hey, I'm free. They can hire me if we're gonna do this kind of stuff. I'm available.
You don't have enough busts on your record.
Apparently not. Dude, look, put me in 2027. I can make some bust picks quick. Okay, I'm ready to go. But we will take that, and let me use this as a segue. Do you think that the New York Giants have changed the culture with the moves that they've made? And just starting with the head coach John Harbaugh, do you think that they changed the culture with this move, with this hire?
I think it has the potential to. I think it raises their floor a little bit, but also maybe limits their ceiling. We've seen John Harbaugh's teams, and they've kind of been inconsistent from year to year. They've always been good, but never really, done well. I guess consistently is the best word that I can say. And culture, it takes a minute to set. I don't think it's going to come in day one and they're going to just everything. Here's the culture. Let's go. Right? It's going to take some time. It's a lot of new faces. I know he brought over half the Ravens team, who are now the New York Ravens over here.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's going to take some time to get the rest of the team, rest of the coaches, rest of the organizational employees to get on board and buy into the culture. And it's not something that happens overnight. So I think it does. I think it will eventually over time. And I think it puts them in a better situation to have some stability at the head coach spot. But I think it's going to take a little bit of time until we see the full Harbaugh thumbprint on this team.
I can see that. I can see it taking time. I also think that this is a really good move for the Giants and for John Harbaugh. I really think that John Harbaugh needed a different scenery. I think purple was kind of getting a little old for him, so they changed the shade, and you move over to a state that's only 4 hours away, and you're still in the Northeast. You still know how a ball could be carried there, thrown, and Northeast football. You know how to play in that kind of inclement and that kind of weather. So I don't think it's a major change of football, but or weather, I would say. So you kind of still know how to put everything in there. But I would say that I think it's a really good change for both teams. I do think that they could start off to a very hot start, possibly, if they can get the offense rolling. I think the defense will come more naturally than the offense, personally.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that in years past. There's certain Ravens teams that start off hot and then just falter down the runway, if you will. But also, I mean, Harbaugh's background, he was special teams coach in Philly before he got the Ravens head coach job. So, I mean, he's got experience within the NFC East football and within the regional football, if you will. So I do like the move a lot. I think it's going to set the franchise on the right path, and especially the one that's had a lot of instability at this position, right? I mean, you had Dayball, you've had a bunch of other coaches, but nothing has ever felt like consistent since like Coughlin. It feels like.
Fair, more than fair. That's more than fair. So with that, let me just jump into their off season. Let's jump into their free agency things that they've done. We've
all the Ravens.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So I'm gonna go over a couple guys that they re-signed first. So let's go with their own guys. Is Jermaine Eluemunor, the right tackle? He can also play left tackle as well. But 3 years, $39 million. Micah McFadden, the linebacker, 1 year, 3.75, and then you have Aaron Stinney, the guard, 1 year, I'll just say 1.5. I'll round up for some of these guys, and then you have some backup guys here too as well. Joshua Ezeudu, the guard, one year, 1.3. Isaiah Hodgins, wide receiver, 1 year, 1.2. And Evan Neal, guard, 1 year, 1.2. And I'll start from the top here. Some of the big signings. Isaiah Likely, tight end, 3 years, $40 million. Tremaine Edmonds from Chicago, linebacker, 3 years, $36 million. The trade with DJ Reader, the Lions, 2 years, $12.5 million. Jordan Stout, the punter, 3 years, $12.3 million from the Ravens. Coming from Jacksonville, Greg Newsome, the cornerback, 1 year, $8 million. Raiders, Patrick Ricard, fullback, 2 years, $7.6 million. Another Raider, Ardarius Washington, safety, 1 year, $3 million.
Bleed Ravens, not Raiders.
What did I say? Raiders? Sorry. Ravens?
Yeah, Ravens.
I'm getting tongue-tied here.
Don't come from. We said we're correcting it. Don't worry.
Yeah, we got it. Browns Shelby Harris went over to the Giants defensive line, 1 year, $3 million. The Falcons Darnell Mooney, wide receiver, big pickup. I like this one. 1 year, $3 million. Steelers Calvin Austin, wide receiver, 1 year, $1.5 million. And Bengals Lucas Patrick, guard, 1 year, $1.4 million. Titans Brandon Allen, QB, 1 year, $1.4 million. Jason Sanders, the kicker from Miami. This is actually more important than we think. 1 year, $1.4 million. Jason Pinnock, the cornerback from San Francisco, 1 year, $1.4. Actually, which I think he actually was on the Giants before. Elijah Campbell from Miami, safety, 1 year, $1.4. The Ravens, Daniel Haley, guard, who's like 8'3", 400 pounds or something. I don't know. Guard, 1 year, 1.4. And then Sam Roberts and Khalid Kareem, both backups from the Falcons, defensive line and edge, 1.2. And there is actually no guaranteed for Khalid Kareem here. I'm sure there's some money in there, but they did a lot. They did a lot of overhaul here, so they're adding a lot of people.
Did you also hit Jordan Stout, the punter, coming over from Baltimore?
Of course, I did.
Oh, okay. Must have missed it.
Come on, man, punter love, baby. Punter love.
Sure.
I would look.
I didn't hear no Zach Trenner.
I would never. Okay, I have never in my life, sir. Okay.
Zach Trenner, the long snapper. We get him too.
Where is he at? Let me see. If he was in my line of travel,
he might have just been a street free agent this year.
Yeah, I don't think I got him. All right, you got me on that one. Fair.
Gotta have long snapper love.
Gotta have it.
Yeah, they're important.
But yeah, looking at this, it was a huge overhaul. Now they got two. I won't get into the depth chart just yet because we have the draft. But looking at this, It looks like they spent their money wisely. I understand that it's John Harbaugh's type of players. He did get some bigger guys on this line, and I'm not saying that they just needed bigger guys on the line. They needed to revamp something. They needed to see who can work with who here and see if they can run the ball. They have I would say personally, a good running back room. I think that they do have one. They have the Crayon Eater, and they have the veteran. This is the thing. They have downhill runners, okay? And they have people that really want the ball. I understand that's you got Malik Neighbors hurt. You have Darnell Mooney. You have Calvin Austin, some speedsters. So maybe we can actually do a little something on the offense here. But you got downhill running backs, and you have brand new offensive linemen that are absolutely huge. So I'm excited to see what they can do with this and how they can sign this.
Yeah, I think a big kind of sign or tall tale for the Giants over the last multiple seasons has been injuries, right? The injuries to Daniel Jones, the injuries to the offensive line, Andrew Thomas. A lot of these guys just get hurt and they don't have very good depth. I mean, how many times have they lost a game due to their kicker getting hurt? Right?
Yeah.
I think it was at least two,
Mhm.
but that's still a lot for because you don't have another kicker on the roster. You don't have another guy that can kick an extra point. Like, come on, what are we doing here? But I think again, we've seen these hardball offenses and what they want to do, right? They want to set the tone early, they want to run downhill, have more of a power scheme, and they want to be able to do some play action over the top, right? So I think we're going to see that hardball vision, and you've got a lot of different pieces on that offensive line now to do it,
Yeah.
right? And again, there's a tremendous amount of Baltimore guys that came over, which will help them, set that culture early. But also, Matt Nagy is the OC here, right? So I want to see how that's going to fit, and it's going to be interesting because he was not so great in Kansas City this last season, right? I'm not too excited about it. But time is up.
Yeah, it was lackluster when he was over there in the Midwest, and if we're being honest. So, and you had some of the best players over there. You have one of the best QBs in the league. You have speedy wide receivers. You had downhill running backs, great tight ends, and you couldn't get it done. So you kind of question whether or not this offense coming over can actually execute what it needs to do. So
yeah. I mean, they dealt with a lot of injuries too. So I mean, we'll give them that, but I just. Doesn't get me too excited, but want me to cover a little bit of the draft, or we?
Well, we'll bring up one comment here from Michael Rizzo at Michael Rizzo Vlogs here, our editor. Gotta love him. You hear Jackson Dart say yesterday, hinting that there'll be a run, quote unquote, run first offense through Scadaboo. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think we've seen what he can do in college when he was the guy, the main workhorse. And, I think this is a guy that gets better with every single carry. He doesn't have the size or the speed that, Derrick Henry had, but I think he's just as, crazy. I think he's just as good, right? Obviously, Derrick Henry, the king, is a pretty big step up, but Scadaboo has shown that he can be the lead back and he can take, 25, 30, 35 carries even. I mean, the one thing that really stands out to me was the Big 12 championship game when they were working this guy, right? First half, he was catching the ball, running the ball, throwing the ball, doing everything. At halftime, he was throwing up on the sideline, and then he came back second half, and he was just breaking off these crazy runs, and he just completely took over the game. And that's what really sticks out to me. And, especially now, second year in the NFL, I know he's recovering from injury, but being in a NFL strength and conditioning program and having better nutrition and better dietitians and that kind of stuff, he can really take his game to the next level as long as he comes back fully healthy.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it, and I cannot wait. Great draft pick. They wanted him, they got him. And speaking of, let's jump into the 2026 NFL draft for the New York Giants. You want to take us away with that?
Absolutely. And one note, while I go over these picks, we had 7 total picks, and not a single one was spent on a running back. So that tells you how much they really like the room over there too. So, but round 1, pick 5 overall, they took the athletic phenom Arbel Reese, the 20-year-old edge rusher, stand-up, off-ball linebacker. He'll play everywhere on this defense. He'll play standing up. He'll play some rush snaps. He's just a complete defensive weapon that they'll use, tried out for this Giants team. And then round 1, pick 10 overall from the Sexy Dexy trade. They took Francis Marinoa, the tackle from Miami, really durable tackle. He's actually going to play guard in the NFL, so he's going to be starting right guard. Really big, athletic type player who's going to be able to block well and help protect Jackson Dart there. So, and the second round, they took the cornerback, 37th overall, Colton Hood from Tennessee, redshirt sophomore. So he's just really good at press man coverage, kind of a bully beats receivers up. So he'll do really well in that scheme as well. In the third round, pick 74 overall, they took the receiver Malachi Fields from Notre Dame. Big old X receiver, not super fast, but man, he can go up. He can high point the ball. He's just got that huge frame where he kind of be a red zone target for Dart. So just to add some more receiver depth. And then sixth round, pick 186 overall, they took the defensive tackle from Auburn, Bobby Jamison Travis. So he's got good size and length. He's often too engaged in long form blocks and doesn't really control or defeat his blocks. So kind of a developmental defensive tackle to add to this roster. And then with their final two sixth-round picks, pick 192, they took J.C. Davis, offensive tackle out of Illinois. So 4-year starter with ideal size and length. Just kind of needs to be more aggressive the way that he plays. And then sixth round, 193 overall, they took linebacker Jack Kelly from BYU. He's a two-time team captain. He had 4 productive seasons between Weber State and BYU. So it's kind of just a big, burly linebacker. Doesn't really have great sideline-to-sideline speed, but he'll do some damage in the run game. So that was their full draft class in this 2026 draft.
Controversial pick. Let's go after this controversial pick that everybody thought that they should do at pick 10. Okay. Everybody, Caleb Downs is still on there. That was your guy. Let me tell you, the people that I've been having conversations with, they should have picked Caleb Downs. They should have done this. It's not a sexy pick. Okay. And I understand that it's not a sexy pick. But what people need to understand is that, how do you say his name again? I always butcher it.
Maui Noah.
Maui Noah. Yep. Francis Maui Noah is 6'6", 330 pounds. Okay. He can also play guard, which is great. Okay. He allowed 2 sacks and 522 pass blocking plays and earned an All-American honors. Okay. He is projected to strengthen this offensive line. He will do just that. I'm going to stamp that down right now. He's going to be a freak of nature in the NFL. And I think that this is one of the greatest picks that they could have done for anything to help their run game, to help their offense, to protect their quarterback. I think this is an excellent move. He doesn't even have to play tackle. Let him go into the guard situation. Okay. They have so much depth right now where they can pick and choose the competition that comes out the best.
Yeah. I mean, he's their starting guard right now. I mean, this is a guy that the one thing that's concerning is the back injury where he may require surgery down the line. Yeah. But I mean, he's a phenomenal player. It's eating your vegetables, and that's what you need to do, especially when you have a young quarterback to build around and a guy that he spent a lot of time in the tent almost every single game, right? So this is a guy. I think you obviously you want to protect the franchise. I wouldn't say that this was a controversial pick. Yeah, I mean, but this is also a team that has some really good talent at safety. Adding a nickel safety is not going to really put you over the top, if you will. And obviously, I love Caleb Downs. I think he's I think he's the best player in the class, right? But I think protecting your franchise quarterback is way more important than getting the shiny safety.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. But with that, what out of these picks, what would you say was maybe one of your favorites to see that the Giants kind of picked? If you could pick one,
Yeah, I mean, I really like the Malachi Fields pick. I think just adding another big-bodied receiver that's tall, can go up and catch the ball. Just you want to surround Dart with a lot of playmakers. Let him do what he does, right? Distribute the football. I think he's going to add nice things to that receiver room. But the Arvell Reese pick, I mean, you've already invested so much on this defense, from the Brian Burns trade to the Abdul Carter pick to the Kayvon Thibodeau pick. I mean, you got so much edge rusher, and then you add this 20-year-old freak into that linebacker spot. He'll play off ball, but man, he was rushing the passer and really had no clue what he was doing, just natural ability getting to the quarterback. So he's got so much upside, and it gives you so much flexibility, and you can do multiple things with your defense. Absolutely love the Arvell Reese pick. I think it's a home run, and I'm really excited to see what he can do in this big blue defense.
I'll tell you one thing that I liked was the strategy that they used going into this. So I don't know if this was planned or not, but just looking at it from a backup point of view, you do get Arvell Reese, edge linebacker, whatever it might be, but then you kind of get iron sharper iron when you get the offensive tackle at 10. Then you go back at pick 37, you grab a cornerback out of Tennessee, and then you go back at 74 and you get a wide receiver. Iron sharpens iron yet again. Then you go back to pick 186, you go get a defensive tackle, and then you go back at pick 192 and you get an offensive lineman. Iron sharpen iron again. So then you go back and you get another Jack Kelly linebacker out of BYU. I thought that this was actually I thought that was strategic. I thought that they were just kind of like, hey, let's match this. Good trench people that they need to how to get, even though, Arvell Reese is more of a linebacker off ball at times. He can play a lot of different things, and we'll see how that goes. I think he's the next 10-year linebacker over there. But I thought that that's exactly what they did. I think they had a plan to kind of do something like that. I can't really say that the board fell exactly the way that they wanted it to, but I kind of like the way that looks. Just me speaking out loud here.
Yeah, I mean, I bet they're ecstatic the Cardinals took Jeremiah Love, right?
Yeah.
I mean, would you rather have Arvell Reese or Jeremiah Love on this team? The running back's super fast and shiny, and he's great, but you already have a really good running back room. But now you add this again. He's 20 years old, right? And it just athletic freak, blew up the combine. I mean, he's a guy that can be a franchise defensive cornerstone for you for a very, very long time.
Yeah. So let's jump into that real quick. Let's go into the depth chart here. I want to take a look at what they have going on. And you're looking at, we already talked about Joe Schoen, right? That's how you say it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. John Harbaugh is the head coach. Matt Nagy, as you talked about, the offensive coordinator. Denard Wilson, defense coordinator, and Chris Horton, the special teams coach. So
here's a who?
What?
Horton, here's a who?
Great. That's great. He really is. Let's go with Jordan Stout as the punter on special teams here. We'll start there. The place kicker, Jason Sanders. I thought it was a really good pickup. I really think that he's just going to grab this. From Miami. I really think he's just going to grab that. Sanders was better than people really think. So Zach Triner, the long snapper, and you got I'm trying to say Gunnar Alzewski. I mess his name up all the time. Punt returner.
Oh yeah, sure.
I always mess his name because it's a little different. But you have behind him
Gunner. Just Gunner.
Yeah, Gunner. Well, yeah, he's the gunner. Perfect for special teams, by the way, gunner, so there's always a gunner in special teams.
Yeah.
Then you have Javon Holland behind Gunner, and then kick return, Deontay Banks, and Gunner behind him, and Devin Singletary. So nothing too crazy, good amount of speed there. We've seen some stuff happen, but I think they upgraded the punter area, and I think they also upgraded the place kicker and the long snapper. So which one would you like to start off with here, sir? Would you like to start off with the offense or the defense?
Whichever one you wanna give me. I don't care.
I'm gonna give you your Jackson Dart, sir.
All right, so then I will cover the offense to start.
Okay.
This is a pretty deep group now. If you look at it, I mean, we'll start with the receiving core. Malik Neighbors, he did that at the second surgery, so we'll see how quickly he can come back up to full speed. But behind him, you got Malachi Fields, the third rounder from Notre Dame. Behind him, you have Jalen Hyatt, the former Biletnikoff winner.
Mm-hmm.
We're still waiting to see anything. Then you have Brian Miller behind him. Excuse me. On the other side, you have Darius Slayton, that's been around forever, continues to be a factor in this receiving room, continue to get snaps. Darnell Mooney behind him, Isaiah Hodgins, and Dalen Cambry. So really good two depth there at your X and receiver spot right there. And then in the slot, you have Kelvin Austin III, you have Gunner, and then you got Bo Collins and Xavier Gibson. So a lot of smaller guys and whatnot, but I think you bring a lot of juice to this receiver room. Obviously, with Malik being the alpha there, you want to see him get the most targets, but you've got a pretty diverse group with pretty good speed, I'd say, across the board. And then offensive line, this is the one that's going to make the engine run, right? This is what's going to protect Dart. This is going to allow your offense to funnel and do what it needs to do. You have the long-term left tackle, Andrew Thomas. You have the J.C. Davis, the sixth-round pick behind him, and Joshua Ezeudu behind him, the former third-rounder. Then you have John Runyon at left guard coming over from Green Bay a couple seasons ago, Aaron Stinney, and then you have Jake Kubis to round out the left guard depth. And then you have John Michael Schmitz Jr., the former second rounder in 2023, to be the starting center. Lucas Patrick behind him, and Brian Hudson and Reed Holsky. And Lucas Patrick also has some flexibility. He can play guard and center. So he's just another kind of chess piece you can put back there. Then you have Francis Mauinoa at the starting right guard spot. Daniel Falele coming over from Baltimore, the massive mountain of a man guard. And then you have Evan Neal, the former first rounder, because it's not done much of anything in the league but be a liability. So he's another project. So we'll see how his future shakes out. And then you have Jermaine Illuminor at the right tackle spot, Marcus Imbo behind him, and then you have Ryan Shermecki behind him. So ton of depth here. So it'll be really interesting to see how this offensive line shakes out at camp.
Before you move on to or wherever you're going to go next, but I do want to say I do like the speed in there. They brought a lot of depth in that wide receiver area. I like that they signed and drafted four different people to compete in this offensive line. Okay. And massive guys are even playing second string right now. Okay. So I'm actually very excited to see this kind of competition and who can come to the forefront and really protect this quarterback.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. That's gonna be a really fun camp, and this also gives you some flexibility when you do jumbo packaging and whatnot too. You can have some really big, strong guys out there that can open up, different blocks and different pathways for these running backs, and you can do a lot of stuff with great options. So really exciting. Pretty deep tight end room. You have Isaiah Likely finally getting the chance to be number one tight end. He's no longer in Andrew's shadow here, so he gets to be the number one guy here in New York. Theo Johnson, who was a favorite of Dart last year, really good young, talented tight end, so he'll also play some snaps as well. Chris Manhertz, just a blocking phenom who's had a really long, great NFL career. Then you have Thomas Fidone II and Tanner Connor, some depth pieces behind them. At running back, you have Cam Scadaboo, who's going to be the starting running back when he comes back fully healthy and that ankle's feeling fine. Tyrone Tracy Jr., the former receiver who turned running back, he's a really good complement to Scadaboo, so you really like that 1-2 punch there. And then Devin Singletary, who I felt like he got a lot of goal line snaps last year, but a veteran that can really play well. Eric Gray, Dante Miller, and then you have Damon Bankston to round up the running back room. And lastly, you bring over Patrick Ricard from Baltimore. So just a menacing fullback who knows the system. He knows exactly what Harbaugh is looking for. And then he's going to be able to open up some holes for these running backs. And then lastly, a completely fun, exciting quarterback room. You have Jackson Dart, the first rounder from last year, who's going to be the guy. Jameis Winston, everyone's favorite backup quarterback. Just such a fun person in the league. And then you bring over Brandon Allen to give you some more of that veteran depth. But you have a lot more talent on this offense, and it's going to be really interesting to see how it shakes out for this team because the whole NFC East got better. Yeah. So I have no idea where that fit puts the Giants at, but they're going to have some dogs they're going up against in the East.
And it doesn't even like if you really look at it too, it's not like they didn't know how to score points at times too. They're going up against some dog of teams, you know what I mean? Chargers were 4-0 at one point, and they came in and they gave him a really, really tough time, you know what I mean? Dart was showing off with his legs. If we can keep him out of the tent, that's great. You know what I mean? Keep him healthy. But then they were giving the Eagles a problem at times, you know, and these are division games that you need to do that. You need to hold these teams accountable. If you could do that in your own division, you might be able to actually make a playoff run. I'm not saying that they will, but I'm just saying that if they have a little bit more discipline doing this on an offense and they hit their keys and they execute, the sky's the limit.
Yeah. So a couple things on that. So last year they had 22.4 points per game, which ranked 17th in the NFL. But the yards per game, they were at 347 yards per game, which was 8th in the NFL.
That's wild.
So they can move the ball. It looks like they weren't able to get it done in scoring because 8th to 17th is a pretty big discrepancy.
Yeah.
So that probably have to do with a lot of turnovers and a lot of young players are forced snaps. But on this defense, before you get into it, they allowed 25.8, which was 26th in the league. but they also allowed 368 yards per game, which was 29th in the league. So one thing with the Giants, I know they're going to be everyone's favorite sleeper team, but the one thing that I want to just remind people is again, it's going to take time. All these players have to mesh well together, and they're going up against a pretty tough division with a lot of good quarterbacks. So,
yeah, they are 100%. So I will say, let's start off with it.
Let's say you
12 people were signed to this defense. 4 people were drafted to this defense. 16 newcomers to this defense. Okay, so let's start off with the defensive end with Robertson Harris. Okay, so Roy Robertson Harris starting on that defensive end, and right behind him is Sam Roberts getting signed from Atlanta, and then Chauncey Golson from Dallas a few years back. So he's still holding on tight, and I think he came over it last year. So then you got the nose tackle. I'll go nose tackle and defensive tackle here. So you got DJ Reader that were they traded for him from Detroit, and Lecky.
I think they just signed him. I don't think they traded him. They traded Sexy Dexy, but they signed.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I'm still thinking. Okay, but I want to put this in perspective. 335 pounds for Reader. Okay, and then Lecky Fotu is 330 pounds. Okay, so they have some depth in this little rotation that they can do. And then they drafted Bobby Travis Jameson. Okay, so and that kid himself is 330 pounds. So they have 3 nose tackles ready to rock and roll, 330 pounds. They're looking to stop the run here, okay, for being honest.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have Shelby Harris as defensive tackle that they signed from Cleveland. Alexander Darius, who was a 25th third rounder, well over 300 pounds himself. So they have some big dudes here. And Zach Pickens, that was from Kansas City, that they also signed. Let's go to the linebackers here. There's little pass rushers, you know. Brian Burns. I'm just going to go right through the front line here. So all linebackers looking like they could be the starter. Of course, there's always going to be rotation and such. But Brian Burns, that left outside linebacker. Arvell Reese drafted, that will linebacker. Tremaine Edmonds signed from Chicago, the middle linebacker. And then you have Abdul Carter, their 2025 first rounder, the right side that right outside linebacker. This is a disgusting looking front line, if I can say so myself, depending on how they scheme them. Now, if you really want to look at it, Denard Wilson's defense is more of a it's very aggressive. It's physical. They want to be able to knock you in the mouth. There's a lot of violence involved in this kind of defense. So I'm interested to see what they can do with their front lines here, and not like their defensive tackles and how they can utilize their linebackers in different schemes. But he doesn't blitz a lot. Okay. He's been known to do it like under 25% or something like that. So I'm very interested to see exactly how they can utilize all of these different things. But I digress, and I'll go into the depth a little bit. Behind Brian Burns on that left side is Khalid Kareem and Caleb Murphy. Kareem was signed from Atlanta. And then you still have Micah McFadden, who is behind Arvell Reese at the moment, and Darius Musow. And then you have Jack Kelly, who was drafted in the 6th round this year, behind Tremaine Edmonds and Zaire Barnes. So behind Abdul Carter, you have Kayvon Thibodeau and Trace Ford. And let's go to these corners. Okay, these left corners, Paulson Adebo from New Orleans. I think he was signed over just
Adebo, baby.
There you go.
It's the second year with the Giants.
Okay. Deontay Banks, who was a Maryland Terrapin, I believe. And then you have Corey Black and Art Green. You can go to the right side. Greg Newsome, the second from Jacksonville. I thought that was great. Now they drafted Colton Hood right behind him. Then you have Rico Payton, another one of your New Orleans Saints from the back end. And Jarek Bernard Converse, who's actually says it from Cleveland, but he actually was picked up, I think, UDFA or drafted, I think, 5th round from the Jets. And then you have your nickel, Drew Phillips. They got Darius Washington from Baltimore and Nick Jones in that nickel back. And then you look at your safeties, Tyler Nubin, Jason Pinnock, who I believe has been there before, Bo Braid
Mhm.
from Baltimore, another Baltimore kind of guy. Javon Holland, the free safety. Elijah Campbell getting signed from Miami, going over there as a maybe a shift over. They like to play. Before I start this, sorry, Raheem Lane right behind everybody as well in that third spot in the free safety. But what they like to do is they like to have four people in the backfield in this kind of defense usually. So it's an interesting defense. They're going to hit you hard. They're going to put a lot of pressure on you, but they want to make sure that nothing really gets over the top. So I'm interested to see how they utilize all of these guys. And I think that it might take a second to click, but it seems like they bought all the puzzles, they put it all on the table, and I think now they're going to start putting that puzzle together for the defense.
Yeah, and speaking of Denard Wilson, I mean, their defensive coordinator, he's a guy that's had a lot of success in the NFL. I mean, he's had 14 years in the league. He was Tennessee Titans coordinator from 2024 to 2025, and in the 2024 season, they had the second lowest marks in the league. I mean, their defense was playing lights out.
Yeah.
And then last year, the Titans were really efficient at getting to the quarterback, so he was in the top 10 teams in sacks per attempt, with an 8.2% rate, which was the highest by a Titans team since 2005. So he did have a little crossover with Harbaugh. He was with the Ravens as defensive backs coach in 2023. And during that time, he actually, where was it? He had the defense ranked near the top of the league in interceptions with 18, which was third in the NFL at that time. He had 85 passes defense, which was fourth, and passing yards allowed per game was 191, which was sixth. So he was a big instrument in helping Kyle Hamilton's development. He actually helped your New York Jets. He helped Jamal Adams with his best season when he earned 2 of his 3 career Pro Bowls. So this guy has had a lot of success. So with the amount of talent that you have on this Giants defense and the success that he's had in Tennessee, I think this is going to be a really, really strong unit. This is one I would definitely keep an eye on. I think this defense is going to be really, really good this upcoming season.
Yeah, I mean, looking at their defensive tackles, everybody's about 330 pound or nose tackles, I would say, but everybody's big and heavy to stop that run. And he's had mainly this defensive coordinator has played a lot of run snaps, probably well over 60% is run snaps that he's done, and successfully at that point too. He's not going to blitz a whole lot, but when he does, he's going to scheme it pretty well. So he's got fast, quick guys on the side that can get to it. I think if he can't unlock Thibodeaux, I think that's the door for him, because this is it for him. This is an area where he can thrive. He has four, I would say 4 solid guys that can go get the quarterback, or at least 3 if they want to set them loose like that. But at the same point, this is violence. This is stopping the run. This is get the ball back to the offense. So I'm really interested to see how he utilizes, again, these guys. But I think Thibodeaux, this is a big bell for Thibodeaux to see what can be unlocked in him. And if he's going to be a first,
he would already be off the team if they didn't get too greedy. They didn't want such a high pick. So I think he could definitely be a guy and a name to watch that could get traded during the training camp or preseason. I still think that's probably on the table, but I don't know. At this point, I'd rather have him as another able-bodied rusher where you can just rotate those guys, right? You can just play a lot of different snaps. Everyone attacking the quarterback, everyone staying fresh throughout the game. That's going to be dangerous as you get later on in the season.
But comment below, let us know what you guys think. If maybe we had it all right. Hey, maybe you just think we're idiots. That's possible too. We have a lot of different people. So but shout outs to Joseph Best, also known as Joe Grizzly. A lot of people don't know this, but Joe Grizzly is a beast up here in the Northeast area, but they didn't trade Tibbs because of the Dex trade. So I mean, that's definitely a possibility. I can see that. They look, I can only imagine what's going on behind closed doors over in that in the big blue tent, I will call it, over there in New Jersey. So but yeah, I mean, they made a lot of moves, and hopefully Harbaugh brings the culture up to where it needs to be at this point. So shout out to Joseph Best. Go ahead. J-Bone. I'm always going to call him Joe Grizzly because Joe Grizzly, and not for nothing, Joe Grizzly may or may not have been on the mic a couple times spitting them hot bars. So there you go. But before we exit, is there anything else you want to say about the New York Giants? I mean, we spent a pretty penny on the New York Giants today.
Yeah, I mean, if I was a Giants fan with the amount of talent and the amount of resources they've used, I'd be extremely excited. This is another young team that's on the rise. They have a brand new leader in John Harbaugh that has had a trail of success. So things are looking up in Big Blue.
Yeah, definitely are. I can't wait to see them play offense, defense. They look a little bit revived last year. Just the different picks that they have. I'm not saying that the execution was there, but look, that Prince of Darkness was right there, and he was trying to elevate the city. So I can't knock.
And I can't believe you didn't give any love to the special teams. You're only gonna watch offense and defense. You're
I
not
did
gonna watch the special teams unit.
I did. I did that
Mhm.
first, and then I gave you the option whether you wanted offense or defense.
No, I mean just now you said I'm excited to watch this offense and defense, but you're not excited to watch the special teams.
No,
That's
I'm
what you're
not.
telling me.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Not a
Look,
real one.
look. I don't. Whoa, easy.
I need to know what type of kickoff formations there are. Okay, I want you to study that. I want a full report on that.
Oh, of course you would. Of course you would. Only one thing goes in my head at that point. You know exactly what that is. You son of a gun. Okay.
Wind you up.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. This guy over here always get me wound up over here. All right. So all right. Well, enough of that. So anyway, you guys follow us at Top Dog Coverage on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. Swipe up on you have me all flustered now. Swipe up on Spotify and Apple. Hit the 5 stars, leave a comment, and go to topdogcoverage.com. Vote for your favorite team. Email us at topdogcoverage@gmail.com, and make sure that you guys tell us what you guys want us to talk about. Maybe you want to talk about a rival. We like talking garbage about and trash and heat and throwing shade. We like doing that too. So make sure that you guys hit us up, hit the subscribe button, smash the like button. But that is it for your boy Dirty and your boy C-Dub. We will see you guys on the flip side. God bless and have a great night. Peace.